So my name is Tafadzwa madanhire. As you can see, I'm a male in his 20s. I was born in Bikita, and I'm a resident here in Harare, Zimbabwe. So I'm a person living with visual impairment. Ndakazowana ndane around 7 years. So since then, I've been living like that with visual impairment. So I'm a firstborn in a family of 2 children, and so my academic world is as follows. So I attended my primary school, firstly in Rusununguko Primary School in here in Harare, Mfakos. Then I went to Budiriro Primary, for primary, and then I continued there to grade 5 when I then had sight problems. That was back in 2007. So since then I had to attend to some medical issues to deal with my eyesight, and after that, around 2000 and so I ndakambomira kuchikoro from 2009. Then I continued in 2012 at Emigo High School, Emigo Primary School, sorry, where I started as a grade 4 student there. So Emigo Primary School is a school for those students with the visual impairment, and so I did my grade 4, grade 5, and wrote my grade 7 there. And also I then went to high school at the same school, Margareta Hugo High School, school for the blind. So I did my Form 1 up to Form 6. So then after that, I then in 2022, I then went to the University of Zimbabwe, where I am doing my law degree, and now I'm in my 3rd year. And so my academic journey has been good, actually. I don't want to lie, because it is testified or evidence through the grades, because in my primary, I think I was almost at position 1 almost every term, except of some few terms where, as a human being, you have to actually also give opportunities to others to be number 1, because of their reception at their homes. It might be good sometimes, but most of the times I usually came number 1, number 1, number 1. Then my grade 7, I had 7 units. During those times, 2015, we only wrote 4 subjects. So I had 2, 2, 2, and 1 to make it 7. So yeah, I had 1 maths, and 2 Shona, English, and general paper. So yeah, that was my primary. And my high school, I was also brilliant, if I may put it in that way, because I continued with my academic prowess, being one of the brightest students in the class, because since Form 1 up to Form 6, I never failed any subject. I only passed all of the subjects. So at my ordinary level, I wrote my ZIMSEC. So I wrote 10 subjects and 3 hex score courses. So what usually happens is that not almost every visual impairment student is able to do mathematics, in the sense that the perception is that it is difficult, it cannot be done. But I'm one of the students, the few students actually, in Zimbabwe, if I may say, if not in Africa, who would have challenged themselves to say, I will take up mathematics, I will take up science subject, and so forth and so forth, because of their requirements of the use of eyesight, mostly. But I actually wrote my mathematics, my science, and I got I passed it with flying colors. I had B's to both subjects. So I wrote 10 subjects. Out of 10, I had 7 A's. I had 2 B's and a C. Obviously, you cannot not have a C, because you have to balance the alphabet A, B, C. And to my high school subjects, courses which I did computer operations and packages. I was also a food lover, and I also did a cooking course, and also I did an agricultural course, which I also did with Hexco, and I all had 3 distinctions from there, from the 3 courses which I partake with Hexco. And after that, I then went to A level. As I had indicated before, I went to A level at the same school, Margareta Hugo High School, where I did my A level. I undertook art subjects, and I scored 15 points in 2021 when I wrote my A level. So I was doing arts. Specifically, I did history. I did family and religious studies, and I also did Shona language. So yeah, that's my high school. Then I also went to. I'm now at the University of Zimbabwe doing my law degree, and yeah, I can actually say that it has been a good experience being at the University of Zimbabwe, because mostly the perception is that students with disabilities or with special needs, particularly who have visual impairment, cannot do anything in their lives because of the impairment and the disabilities that come in play. But I had also an opportunity to join the University of Zimbabwe to prove otherwise, because the perception is really still strong. But we are trying by all means to make sure that the perception disappears, and the level becomes level for all, because the perception that persons living with visual impairment are not capable. So I'm now here at the University of Zimbabwe doing my law degree, as I had alluded before, because the perception actually in the society is that persons living with disabilities, in particular those who are living with visual impairment, they cannot do anything, or they cannot be as competent as perhaps those who may not have impairment. So I'm now in year 3, and actually I can also say that I'm one of the brightest students in our class, and till now I haven't failed any module, because maybe we are of the inspiration that pushes us as persons living with visual impairment, that we have to prove to the world that it's not what they think, but it is what has to be seen through us that we are competent. So that's my academic world as it now. And so I've also been involved in leadership since primary, because in grade 5 I was a prefect. Grade 6 I also had an opportunity to be a vice head boy. Then grade 7 I had an opportunity also to become the head boy at the Margareta Wogo Primary School. Then in high school, I also had that opportunity again to be in leadership as a prefect in Form 3, Form 4. Then I became the vice head boy in Form 5. Then I also had an opportunity to become the 2021 Margareta Ugo High School head boy in Masvingo there. So that's my school leadership journey. Then I also proceeded here at the University of Zimbabwe to venture into leadership. Maybe leadership is following me. I really do not know, but I hope so, because now I was elected into Student Representative Council, SRC, as the Student Representative Assembly member for students living with special needs on campus, University of Zimbabwe. Then also I was elected with my colleagues in the SRA, Student Representative Assembly, which is actually the parliament of the University of Zimbabwe. I represented students. I was elected as a student, as the Secretary General for SRA here at the University of Zimbabwe. And also I'm also the representative of students living with special needs at the Faculty of Law as the Secretary General for Disability Affairs in the Zimbabwe Law Students Association, University of Zimbabwe chapter in the 2024 academic year. So yeah, that has been my leadership journey. So where I would want to go, my wishes is that I become one of the brightest legal brains in Zimbabwe, Africa and beyond. And probably when I am aging and be on the bench as one of the judges in Zimbabwe. And yeah, obviously to be part of the litigation team in Zimbabwe, and so forth and so forth. And yeah, so there are a lot of social activities that I partake myself personally, because maybe people may think that persons living with visual impairment may not have social activities or what they do at their leisure time. So personally, I watch soccer. I'm a Manchester City fan. Yeah, and also my motherland team, Zimbabwe, the Warriors. Usually I watch when they are in action. And I'm also a sports person. Usually I play gobo. It's a sport specifically for those with visual impairment. I read a lot. It's actually my hobby. Yeah, although yeah, it is also connected with my program and my to be my to be lifestyle, because I would have to read more and more and more. Um, and also listening to music. I actually like old-fashioned music, the old school music. I like Oliver Mtukudzi, Macheso, and so forth. Those old music, because they actually uh, help me to relax actually, and I just like the music, the message and the music, and so forth. So I'm also a religious person. I go to church, so I am affiliated with Apostolic Faith Mission in Zimbabwe, AFM, since birth. That has been my church. I go there. I'm a member, a full member of AFM. So yes, so that's my religious life. Uh, I have my words of encouragement to particularly persons who are in the same situation that I am, who have visual impairment, and to the parents and guardian, is that we encourage them to make sure that there's nothing which can limit you to do what you want. The sky is actually the limit. As I had explained in um my life, how it is, it clearly indicates that we are as competent and at the same level with anyone else who perhaps might not have an impairment. And number one, I would like to say that students with visual impairment should be taken to school. There are specific schools, special schools, which are accommodative to such students. And also that there are also some schools which also accommodate students with special needs. Despite those schools being special schools, they are also accommodated, because we are now in an era where we are pushing for inclusivity in schools and the academic world. So they have to go to school to achieve their dreams, because we have had a lot of persons living with this visual impairment who have done a lot in their life. For example, we talk of Pearson Nerera. He's one of the brightest legal minds here in Zimbabwe, who was visual impaired. He was once a lecturer, an advocate, an author. And also we have Justice Deme. Is actually a judge sitting in Harare in the High Court. We have a lot of people whom we can refer who have visual impairment, who are actually doing a lot in their field, because of the empowerment which they go through education. And to parents and guardians, let us also support our children. Let us also support whatever they do, so that they can have confidence in whatever they partake. It might be school, it might be zvemibato yemaoko izvi zvekuti maybe vakaenda kunodzidziswa. It might be welding, it might be woodwork and ICT and so forth and so forth. We have to be supportive to those students so that they can achieve and attain their potential to the maximum. So let's make sure that everyone with visual impairment is at the level that they are supposed to be in their lives. So the reason why I chose law, I actually chose law to be a lawyer since Form 3 actually. That is when I decided to say, no, I think I have to do law because of because I grew up saying I want to be a doctor, I want to be a doctor. But because of the environment that I was exposed, for example, we did arts and the perception that person living with visual impairment cannot do science subjects, I had to do art subject. So in art subject, I then had an interest in law. That number one, it's a program which places an individual on a platform to be able to advocate for other people, to speak for others, because of the equipment that you would have attained during the time that I would have been studying law. So number one is issue of advocacy, especially to person living with special needs. There is a lot of advocacy which is needed. There is also a lot of not only advocacy per se in just saying we have to do this, we have to do that, but also as far as the legal world advocacy is concerned. We have to push for accommodate the inclusivity. So issue of advocacy on behalf of my colleagues living with special needs, that is something which pushed me to be to do law. Then the other issue is that law is actually a degree which is diverse, because you get to be exposed to a variety of aspects that affect life as a whole, because I'll be able to be exposed to family issues, commercial issues, criminal issues, IT issues, AI issues, and so forth and so forth. But it's a degree which has diversity in it. And the other issue is that my wish in life is to be a judge. So obviously you can only be a judge through studying law. So these are some of the reasons, in a pool of reasons, why I choose to do law as an individual. Perhaps inspiration grew from some of the students who learned at Margareta Hugo, because the products which I had actually alluded to, for example, Justice Deme is actually a product of Margareta Hugo. We talk of the likes of Pearson Herrera. Is a person who was living with visual impairment, who did a lot in the legal system of Zimbabwe. He was one of the brightest legal minds here in Zimbabwe. So these are some of the people who actually inspired. And there are also other people like Abraham Mateta. He is also an inspiration to the special needs community, because he is actually doing well in the legal field. So these are some of the people, in particularly those who are living with visual impairment. And there are also other people like Professor Maduku, and there is a person whom I grew up watching. It's Justice of the Constitutional Court, Justice Malava and Makarau. Those people also inspired me, because I grew up seeing them on TV, saying this is Justice Makarau in 2007, 2008, thereabout there. So these are some of the people whom have inspired me to partake law.